What's happening, everybody, to the exam breakdown? Today is Monday, Cinco de Mayo. What's up? And it's 2025, and I am so excited to be here. My name is D. Kumar. It is a pleasure, a thrill, possibly, to even be here today to go through some content with you to be able to help you get through your real estate exams faster. And so I just wanted to share a couple of things with you right out the gate. And now I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm doing this by design. This is to hopefully help some of y'all. But I've worked with thousands of students over the years, and I've got some crazy statistics that I wanted to show you and share with you to help make you maybe see things the way I see things, kind of looking at it from a large group of people that I'm always trying to help out, get through exams and stuff like that, get prepped, move on, close deals, blah, blah, blah. And I just wanted to kind of go through something with you. And this is a comment that one of my students that has been hanging out on our channel watching our content, which we really appreciate, by the way. And what the goal of the exam breakdown is to help you get through the examination hopefully faster and more efficiently. And so this is crazy. The moral here is sort of the longer you wait, the less likely you are to ever taking and passing the examination. So listen to this comment from one of our viewers. This is nuts. He's like, I failed today. All right. And that, that always catches me. I love seeing the comments of, hey, I passed. Check out our comments. All of our students are doing quite well. We're seeing so many passes, but we do get the occasional fail, right? We see them. And I really encourage students to be bold and just to let us know it's okay. Once you externalize it, once you sort of vocalize it or put it out there, you've put yourself out there, and now you're kind of facing this fear. And how bad is this fear? So check this out. He's like, I failed today. But now I know, but now I have a better idea of what to study for the next time. And that was the comment. And it was so profound. It just got me thinking. And it's always been something that I've been a big, believer and a big proponent of. And it's really, this is literally the worst thing that could happen. You fail, right? All right, this person here failed. And this person's really reframed it really quickly and said, but now I have a better idea of what to study for the next time. So faced a fear that so many students have that it's almost crippling. And so, I'm going to share with you a couple of crazy things during this, but I wanted to give you that encouragement. I don't want you to, I'm not trying to bum you out or scare you, obviously, but so many people, so many times are saying, hey, when did you schedule your exam? Did you schedule your exam? And no, I haven't scheduled it yet. I'm still not ready yet. I'll know when I'm ready, and then I'll schedule it, blah, blah, blah. And I just want to make sure that that's something that we can address. And I really believe strongly, unlike a lot of other folks out there, maybe other content creators, that seem to think you need thousands of hours and thousands of questions and thousands of this and that. That's all nonsense. You don't need any of that. So if you've been following our channel, you probably realized lately that I've been going sort of heavy on this really, really important concept about this exam. And that's, I want you guys to stop overstudying. And so overstudying and inaction are the two biggest killers of why folks aren't moving along with this. And it isn't just the license. It's so many more things. There are so many things that folks don't go forward to because of their fears that they have to do stuff. And really, what's the worst thing that's going to happen, right? You try to sell something and somebody says no. You try to offer something and somebody says no. You try to pass something and you fail. Big deal, right? On the scale of 0 to death being, pretty bad and life being pretty good overall, failing an examination isn't that big of a deal. And like this student told us, look, now I kind of know what to study. This is great in a way, right? So it's also about reframing it. So I've seen this way too often. I've heard people say, I think I need months to study for the exam, and you don't. They don't submit their exam application until they feel ready. This is another one. But then months turn into years. You get busy. You don't make it a priority, and then you miss your eligibility window, and you never take the exam again, or you have to repeat the course over, and then you have to go through that entire pre-licensing situation again. And then, maybe the first experience wasn't that good. Now you're dreading that experience. Now you have like a busy life, and how are you going to fit in 40 hours, 80 hours, 100 hours, 180 hours if you're in Texas? My friends from Texas, what's up? And so this is the problem. And so the two big things that I'm here to sort of gripe to you about is you're overstudying, many of you, number one. And number two, you're not making a decision to schedule this examination. So check out this poll. Check this out. I'm going to show you something here. As you may or may not know, we have a community post. And, Kate is really, really awesome. If any of you guys are going to give props to anybody, it should be to Kate. So give her a shout out if you're listening to this and watching this video broadcast. Kate is, making sure that y'all get, represented on, questions, community posts, all kinds of stuff. And many times the community, our customer service, that gets back to you is going to be Kate. So she's like fantastic at what she does. And so recently she ran a poll in our community post. I'm going to show you this also, by the way, but I'm going to show you this poll question. And so the poll question was, when are you taking the real estate exam? Come back and let me know how you did. All right. So we got a bunch of votes, right? We had 221 votes, it looks like. And we had, some likes. Thank you very much. And saw a lot of comments. That was very, very nice of you. And so look, check this out. We've got in the next 48 hours, that was one group. Let me just get a pen here so we can mock this up. So check it out, 9%. So 9% of the folks are going to be doing it in the next 48 hours. And then the next tier down was in the next 7 days. And that was like 20%. All right, so that's close. 19% of the folks that were polled during this particular poll are taking it in the next 7 days. By the way, if you are one of those 48-hour folks or the 7-day folks, I do want to mention to you, and I think that this is important that we do this, is that if you're in that category, the 48 hours to 7-day category, we have some crazy good resources, including our super popular cheat sheet and our 48-hour study guide. And what we're going to do is I'm going to drop the links in the description below. You should check them out. I'm going to show you those in the store, by the way, really, really quickly, because another big thing that folks ask me all the time is, well, sort of, what do I study? What do I focus on? What do I not focus on, right? You need a technician to basically be able to show you, here's 80% of the garbage you don't need for this examination. Here's the 20% that you need. This is the good stuff. This is what you're going to get tested on. Highest probability stuff, highest value targets. And sort of that's one of the big reasons why folks come to me. And it's sort of like, well, what do I study? Right now, I know our channel also has a lot of stuff that people really want, like, the flashcard videos and the questions and everything else. And, God bless you. Just, ingest whatever you need to be able to get through it. Trust me, people are passing based on that, but not everybody is going to do as well. They still need more support. So we've got that 48-hour study guide. We've got these items are curated and crafted by we're pretty good at this stuff, right? I hate tooting our own horns. We've been doing this for a while. I've been doing this for such a long time. It's nutso. But I've seen so many examples and so many students, right? So we've figured out how to focus these items, like the 48-hour study guide, is a targeted study guide with years of experience backing it. And it focuses on the high impact material that you're probably going to see on this examination. And it's going to be something awesome. Now, for the investment, it is super duper short money for the value and impact that it delivers. 48 hours prior to exam, 7 days prior to exam, you want to know precisely what not to study. And these types of things are going to certainly help you out. So I'll leave the link in the description. Check them out. They're going to be super, super helpful. I'm very, very confident that you're going to see stuff there. But let's keep looking at this poll, and let me kind of show you a couple more crazy things. And so look at this. In the next 30 days, 25% of the folks polled said that they're scheduling and taking their exam within the next 30 days. Okay, so these are all action takers. They've all decided to jump ahead and let's go do this. But look at this right here. I haven't scheduled it yet, right? And I'm not picking on you. I'm just going to show you that this is exactly what I have seen for years and years and years. And yeah, this is a small sample of voters relative overall, but I am telling you, this is what you see, if not more than 50%. But this here is 48%, 50% roughly of the folks have not scheduled their examination. They have not made a decision to do this. And then a percentage of those, a very, very large percentage of those, are going to inevitably end up not taking the exam or taking it way too late when all of the information has now left their brain, and now they're going to fail it because they're just completely cold going into it. And so, listening to endless feedback loops of vocab and, watching a million questions isn't going to do you anything because you don't have any of the internet connectivity and sort of the stitch work that you needed that you might have had right when you finished the course and would have had a much higher probability of passing. So I just want you to be aware that this isn't something that I'm not browbeating. I just want to make sure that you understand that indecision here is one of the killers, and it's the biggest killer, honestly, about why people never pass the real estate licensing exam. The biggest killer is because you just don't take it. And that's fine. Sometimes I always jokingly say the barrier to entry into this business is so low. When people pay, they pay attention. And because people's barrier to entry with these kinds of courses and stuff is so inexpensive relative to the impact potentially. And again, what's the impact? This glass ceiling to make as much commission as you want. And so like you have this, bottomless pit of potential that you could earn compared to the entry cost to get in. If you go to get it like an MBA at a good business school, you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to do that. Now, you pay attention. And so like, I think honestly, one of the things that they should have done for this type of scenario is not made it so accessible. I say that halfway. I don't mean that like legitimately, because there have been folks that have come through and made tons of money and very successful. My friends that aren't doing anything with themselves, that's who I'm trying to connect with. I really want to see that. I want to see your growth. I love hearing about it on the channel, but I just really want to know it for you that are listening to this, that you can do what you want to do and that you're able to do those things. And not getting past this is something that's just unnecessary. Okay? So my goal today in the exam breakdown is to give you a little bit of that, but I also want to kind of go through and talk about a couple of things here to kind of blast through and help you out. So there you go with the information. And let's jump into a couple of things that I know are going to help you out. These are some very, very, very common things that help people get through the examination. This is the top 10. I'm just grabbing the right slide. The top 10 things to know for the examination. So this is super duper powerful. And again, it's just there, man. You just got to take the exam. You could do it. You could do it. So maybe you do this week. Maybe you reach out to us and let us know. Commit to it. Commit to it and just tell us. We'll cheer you on. What's the worst that's going to happen? My student failed. And that was no big deal. All right. So here we go. The number one item that you want to know for the examination is they are definitely going to hit you with what is eminent domain versus condemnation. 100% on this examination. Every state wants you to know the difference here. Every state is going to throw this on their exam. Remember, eminent domain is the government's right, constitutionally, to take private property for public use. And condemnation is the legal process. So eminent domain is the right. Condemnation is the process, okay? That is used to exercise that right. So they will split hairs about this. You will see this on your exam. There you go. The next one, tenancy in common versus joint tenancy versus tenancy by the entirety. These are all co-ownership types, and you want to know the differences between all of these. The two that they kind of compare many times are these two, tenancy in common and joint tenancy. So a tenancy in common, as a reminder, allows unequal shares. This is the only form of co-ownership. Remember, more than one person or entity's name shows up on the deed. This one also could have multiple deeds. All right, this one can also have multiple deeds. And so when you have a scenario like that, or you have unequal shares, I own 90% of this property, you own 10% kind of thing, and it has no right of survivorship. Man, survivorship mixes folks up all the time. It's okay. It's a bit counterintuitive, which is why that happens. So it's no big deal if you don't know. When something has the right of survivorship, it simply means that the surviving co-owner gets the property. Okay, so tenancy by the entirety is exclusively for married folks. Tenancy by the entirety has the right of survivorship. Has right of survivorship. I'm just going to write has. I'm just going to write, sorry, I'm in your way. Has the right of survivorship. ROS, right of survivorship. So what does that mean? It means when spouse number one passes away, spouse number two is now the owner of the property. All right, so that's what that means. Now, the tenancy in common has no right of survivorship, which means that when a co-owner dies and that's in common, then their piece goes to their estate. Okay, their piece goes to their estate. So many business partnerships own things in common. And the reason why they own things in common is because they would like their interest to go many times to their estate. The other big thing that I want you all to learn about, just going for it in life is drinking more matcha tea, because it's the fuel. This has a little splash of almond milk. That's what's going on in this one. Many times I'll, vary my fat sources. Okay, and then we have tenancy by the entirety, which is for married couples and includes survivorship. Now, joint tenancy includes always equal shares. So the big contrast between tenancy in common and joint tenancy is joint tenancy always has equal shares. If there's 3 joint tenants, then they each own a third. If there's 4 joint tenants, then they each own a quarter, kind of thing like that. And then this one has the right of survivorship. So this is yes for right of survivorship. This is no. And you are going to see this, so keep that one in mind. Next one, the bundle of rights. Now, there's an initialism or acronym that you can remember this with, Deep C. I like the D in Deep C. Just, preferential. But anyway, the ownership includes the rights of, and this is the bundle of rights: disposition, enjoyment, exclusion, possession, control. So, you want to know that this is the thing that comes with all ownership. I always want my students to know that they also refer to this, also known as equitable title. Not legal title, but equitable title. So equitable title is the phrase that we use in the fancy world in what, when you construct trusts and all kinds of different things. And this is equitable title. So the idea of equitable title comes with disposition, enjoyment, exclusion, possession, and control. These rights define how an owner can use or transfer the property. And this is known as Deep C. Absolutely something super simple, easy, and very present on real estate exams. The next one, agency and fiduciary duties. Old CAR is one of the acronyms. Another acronym is COLD AC, by the way. Agents owe fiduciary duties. You want to know fiduciary duty is anything I do or don't do directly must help or financially benefit the client that hires me. And in the world of agency, we owe a fiduciary relationship or responsibility to our client, and that is obedience for old CAR, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accounting, and reasonable care. Different duties are owed to clients versus the customers. They always split hairs about that. This is always found in the agency section of your books. I'm going to get out of your way there so you can read that. And there's fiduciary duties. Number 5, freehold versus leasehold estate. This is always something that you see. You learn about this in the various interests in real property. A freehold estate involves ownership. Example, you will see words like fee simple absolute, fee simple defeasible, determinable on a condition subsequent. And then there's like leasehold estates, which are temporary rights to occupy the property, which is a tenancy for the years, a tenancy at sufferance, a tenancy at will, a tenancy from period to period. So that you see these different types of tenancies, those are leasehold estates. So you want to know what a freehold estate is versus a leasehold estate. Number 6, types of listing agreements, absolutely on real estate examinations. So we have these 2 main exclusives, and then there's a few more. There's the open listing, and then there's one that's always on exams called the net listing. So there are 4 types of listings that they bang you with. The first 2 here are exclusives, and you want to know the difference between an exclusive right to sell and an exclusive agency listing. So the exclusive right to sell gives the broker commission regardless of who finds the buyer, including, I'm going to write here, including the seller. So the seller themselves finds their own buyer, and we sign an exclusive right to sell, then the agent still gets paid a full commission. The exclusive agency basically says that if the seller were to find their own buyer and we sign the exclusive agency contract, it's just exclusive to the world of brokerage, not to the seller. It excludes the seller. So I'm going to write excludes the seller. One includes the seller, one excludes the seller. The open listing, the seller can enlist multiple brokers. Many apartment listings are open listings for rentals. And it allows the seller to find buyers themselves without paying commissions. So you want to know which ones require a commission no matter what. That's the exclusive right to sell. And then which two listings still allow the seller to do in some action and not have to pay a commission. And that is that. And then the net listing is simply prohibited in many states. Check your state. Make sure if a net listing is prohibited. This is a classic on many, many state exams. The net listing is there. Number 7, the statute of frauds. Here we go. So in contracts, we have this idea of the statute of frauds. It is usually a sort of a prep-up question. Certain contracts, like those for the sale or real estate or the lease over 1 year, must be in writing in order to be enforceable. So the statute of frauds doesn't say that all contracts need to be in writing. A lot of test writers mess with you there. Certain contracts need to be in writing. As a matter of fact, an oral contract that can be performed in less than a year, a lease, doesn't have to be in writing. It can be oral, right? That's fine. And it's still enforceable, by the way. Now, what does that word mean? Enforceable means by court. So, you know, if you study contract law, enforceability of contracts is sort of, there's a bifurcation in the road. Enforceability could mean you and the other party, enforceable between the parties, or enforceable in court. And so for like these 101 classes, they just want you to know that enforceable means in court. And what that means is if two people enter into a contract and there's a fight, then if they decide to go to court about it, then the court's going to say, well, where is it in writing if you're agreeing to buy and sell? All contracts to buy and sell real estate, the sale of real estate, has to be in writing in order to be enforceable per the statute of frauds, which is a body of law that basically states that certain types of contracts, in order for them to be enforced in court, need to be in writing. And so the sale or purchase or sale of real estate and any leases over a year both need to be in writing in order to be enforceable. This is to prevent any disputes that can arise during verbal agreements. So there are certain types of transactions that we require them to be in writing in order to be enforceable. Not all contracts. Number 8, fixtures versus personal property. And there's another acronym here called the Maria test. A fixture is personal property that becomes real property when attached. An example here was a ceiling fan. Used the Maria test to determine if it stays with the property. So the Maria test is the method of attachment. And this is in so many books across the U.S. Is it permanently attached? Is it nailed? Is it bolted? Letter A is adaptability. Is it custom fit or built for the property? Letter R in Maria is the relationship of the parties, the buyer versus the seller, the tenant versus the landlord. This is interesting to remember. Courts favor the one not making the claim many times. The intention of the parties. Was it meant to be permanent or temporary? Many courts rely on the intention of the parties, by the way, and then the agreement. Did the parties agree to it in the contract? And then there's another little concept that comes out sometimes on exams called the parole evidence rule. You might see that, lower probability in more modern exams. I'll just write it down here. It's called the parole evidence rule. I'll just make that a little bit clearer to see. Shrink that puppet down. And so you want to remember the Maria test. This applies to fixtures. And then remember, there's another concept with fixtures that you see on exams called the trade fixture. Again, all popular stuff. Super popular and simple things on the exam that will get you over the edge. Okay? And then there is our poll question. And we got number 9. It just jumped. I apologize. This is one that is very, very popular. Number 9 is the government powers. PEAT is another acronym or initialism. The government has 4 powers over private property. Police power. This includes things like comprehensive plans, zoning, conforming use, non-conforming use, those kinds of phrases, spot zoning, snob zoning, all of those different phrases are where those come up inside of it. Variance, conditional use permit, et cetera, et cetera. And you will see all of those vocab phrases. Just maybe like 6 or so vocab phrases under policing powers when it comes to government powers, by the way, that they really, really go after. And then there's that eminent domain phrase, and we learned the difference between eminent domain and condemnation. By taxation, you want to know the Latin phrase, it's ad valorem. And then there's this thing called escheat, which shows up on exams. The will, dying intestate. Escheat is when property reverts back to the state. And so these are all basic government powers, and the government has these powers over all of private citizen ownership in the United States. And then number 10, the Fair Housing Law. Fair housing is definitely on real estate exams. Every state might have some more protected classes, and some might just have the 7 protected classes. So depending on the state that y'all are from, that you're taking this thing in, you just need to check the state in terms of what you need to know. Like here in Massachusetts, there's a lot of protected classes in addition to the standard 7. But across the United States, the Federal Fair Housing Act has 7 protected classes. And this is where you need to memorize race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, and familial status. And these additional protected classes you want to study for your states. So based on where you're taking this, you just want to know the additional protected classes, and you certainly want to know the 7 protected classes here in the United States, the Federal Fair Housing Act. You want to know things like, what are the exemptions to the Fair Housing Act? Things like, if like familial status is protected, what about over 55 communities? What about private clubs? What about the Mrs. Murphy exemption? Right? So fair housing as a one thing has many things connected to it. Now, this is often under, it could be the practice of real estate. Many times, authors might put this in. Some might just put it a distinct anti-discrimination chapter, right? Some of the big publishing companies will do that as well. So make sure that you're double checking it so that irrefutably sort of what they're going to go after. But there were 10 things, the 10 things that you will see typically on real estate exams. Those are going to help you tremendously. Channel in your efforts, go big topic and try to microscopically compress things into those topics to make sure that you're learning them. And those are some of the better ways to go after it. Now, just as a reminder, I just want to make sure that you guys don't forget that, again, if you were in that category and you're thinking about taking this examination, don't forget about our cheat sheet and don't forget about our 48-hour study plan. The 48-hour study plan you don't need if it's just 48 hours ahead. It's just a plan to compress and compartmentalize, to focus on the what specifically that you need to focus on when you're taking the exam. So even if you got a couple of days before, if you've got a week before, or even 2 weeks before, the 48-hour study plan is going to help you tremendously. And then the 7-day category, if you're like, a week out or so, then check out the cheat sheet or check out the study guides. And those are going to help you compress the nonsense out, filter it all out. And I think that's one of the most important things that you can potentially do as you're prepping for this exam. All right, I want to show you one thing real quick. If you just go to our website here, our YouTube channel, and if you go to the main page, it's just, at D. Kumar Online, if you've gone there. And if you haven't subscribed, I hope you found this valuable. If you did, please consider subscribing. That would be amazing. The channel is growing. We couldn't have done it without y'all. We really do appreciate it. We've got some much much strong material coming out, and we're looking forward to serve you. We love doing that. But if you go here, you can actually find, number one, the posts. Check out the posts. If you subscribe to our channel, then we are constantly posting daily practice exam questions. You see them come across your feed as you're doom scrolling, looking through YouTube, looking through stuff, and they'll just show up. It's really, really nice when you're doing it on mobile, by the way, because it just kind of pops up. It's almost like a little bit of a respite from all of the crazy stuff that you're being algorithmically forced to watch. And then here on Store, we have our store connected to our YouTube channel as well. And this is the 48. This is the cheat sheet that I was talking about right there. This cheat sheet's really, really cool. By the way, for those that are considering picking up the cheat sheet, I'm soon to be releasing a YouTube companion to the cheat sheet where I go over the cheat sheet on the video, and you'll be able to follow along with your cheat sheet. So pick up a copy. You're going to be seeing that video drop pretty soon. I'm just putting the finishing touches on it. And another thing is that 48-hour study plan. And the study plan is pretty awesome. It's right here. It's available. Again, these are such good value for our students in order for you to be able to get through this examination in the most efficient way. And please don't forget, these are honestly the two biggest reasons why folks fail. Number one, inaction. You never schedule the exam. So please, today, hopefully now that I've hopefully gone through things with you, giving you a little bit of courage, schedule the examination and then drop those in the comments. Let us know when you're taking them. We're going to root you on. We're going to get super excited for you. And number two, they take it or they say, I'm going to take it, and then time compresses and then they go, or you're overstudying and you just, you're looking at everything and you're overcorrecting for the things that you really don't need, and you're fixating on things that aren't going to be in the examination. So always look to the pros that have been doing this for a while. Try to listen to what we're talking about, what we're focusing on versus what we're not focusing on. And some of you are going to need that extra push. So I encourage you to check it out. We've got this amazing masterclass. The masterclass is about to be released. It's one of the coolest things out there. It compresses everything that you need to know, saving you hundreds of hours of study time. I'm not kidding. There's no hyperbole there. The average student spends at least another 100 hours. And then there's state examinations and there's school tests that are exit exams that some folks aren't even getting through and stuff like that. So I want you to get through this in less time, in much more easy way. And that's what I'm trying to help y'all with. Anyway, I hope the time you spent with me will yield you some success. Good luck on your studies and good luck on your tests. I will see you guys on Wednesday for the mortgage originators. We've got some stuff that we've got to work on for y'all. There's absolute help on the way for you. We're going to try to get you through that exam as well. We will see you very soon. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel and checking things out. If there's anything we can do to help you out, please leave it in the comments, and we'll see you very soon. Once again, thanks for spending some time with me, and focus, schedule those exams, and go for it, all right? Let us know how things are going. I'll see you guys very soon.